Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of How to Attain Enlightenment, my brand new podcast. I am so excited to have you here. My name is Erica Blackbear, and I will be your host on this journey. This podcast is literally going to follow my journey to attain enlightenment. I have known since I was born that this is what I meant to do. So this podcast is going to follow my journey. So where others are gifted in art or music or computers or whatever, sports, my gifts are in the spiritual realm. My soul specialty, you could say, is spiritual awakening and knowledge. I have attained enlightenment in other lifetimes, on both on other planets as other species and here on Earth. I call myself a galactic freelancer because I'm not attached to the whole of a species like evolutionary process. Like take Earth for example. I'm not here to continue with the cycles on Earth as humans evolve. I come and go. And I do that on other planets as well. One of my specialties is going into places that are struggling in lower dimensional frequencies, and where there might be wars or a lot of interpersonal strife, hatred, anger. Like people are struggling, right, on a global, on a collective scale. And so I go into places like that often, and because I've attained enlightenment in multiple other lifetimes, it's easier for me to attain enlightenment again. Once you do it, it's like, riding a bike or anything else. Once you do it once, it becomes easier to do it again. And so I will go into places where there's a lot of struggle, and I will ground high vibrational energies and knowledge to disseminate and hopefully assist the beings there. And it's what I love to do. And I've always been very connected in the spiritual realm in this lifetime. I remembered who I was and what I was here to do from the time I was born. I have vivid memories of prior to incarnation, like without my body, and that's just always been kind of where my wheelhouse is. One of my struggles, you could say, has been trying to figure out how to monetize because this is a planet with a monetary system. Like, okay, how do I make money doing what I'm here to do? Because you can't go anywhere and apply to attain enlightenment. Like, hey, I want the job to be attain enlightenment, right? You can't like walk in somewhere and say that. And so it's one of my challenges this lifetime to try to figure out, okay, how do I do? I think a lot of people have the view of, the yogi who leaves everything behind and goes into the Himalayas in order to attain enlightenment, but that's not part of my purpose here. Like, I'm not going to do it that way. One of the purposes of why I'm here to attain enlightenment is to do it in a way where I'm still living in the modern world, so to speak, and how to balance that and navigate that. How do you attain enlightenment while also living in the modern world with all of the bombardments to your senses, right? And all the pressures and all of that. And so I'm a single mom. I've been a single mom for 20 years. And so there's multiple things that I'm kind of balancing at once. And so, like I said, one of my challenges is, okay, how can I support my family while also doing my life's mission, my ultimate like heart yearning goal for this lifetime. I finally started cracking the code recently. It took me a long time. But so we're going to kind of get into that, but let me back up again to when I was a child. So I'll kind of explain. I need to catch you up to where I am now. So, like I said, I kind of remembered why I was here from birth. I was always very spiritually attuned. I have always been very close with my guide team, my spirit helpers, whatever you want to call them, the beings on the other side that are assisting me personally on my mission. And I've always had a very, very close relationship with them. I would consider them my true family. I would consider them my best friends. You know, we have a whole language that we've developed over my lifetime, and I'll get more into that in a minute. But when I was a child, I've always been what people call empathic. I mean, it's just one of the byproducts of being very spiritually open is being a very empathic person. And so I very deeply feel other people's feelings. I can pick up on other people's emotions, thoughts, and physical states even. When I was a little girl, I felt so intensely the struggling and the pain and suffering on this planet. It was almost unbearable. And I have a lot of memories where I would sit in meditation, often underneath a tree. I have a very strong connection to trees and nature. And I would sit in meditation under trees in my yard, and I would just commune with spirit, with the divine. And I remember there were times where I would just cry and cry and cry, and I would cry out to God, please work through me. Please, I need to assist the people on this planet. I need to assist this planet. There is so much pain and suffering and so much struggle and dishonesty and hatred. I just remembered not lifetimes where I was in communities and it wasn't always like this. There were many places where I lived where it was so harmonious with the land, with the planetary, with the planet that the species was on, and with the other beings on the planet. And I just remember what that is like, and that is possible. I was just praying and praying and praying, please work through me. I want to be a clear channel. Please help me assist this planet. People here do not need to be in pain and suffering like they are right now. Please, I'll do anything. And I just remember having these conversations regularly with spirit. You know, I mean, I was like young, like under 10 when this was happening. Like, I also have memories of taking the yogic path in other lifetimes here on earth to attain enlightenment. And so I've always been very drawn to India, and just other Asian countries that are very Buddhist in nature, or Hindu. And I remember, but India has really just called my heart so strongly. I remember as a child, like I would naturally sit in very advanced yoga poses, like just naturally. I also did like these breathing techniques that I just was doing them. I didn't realize what I was doing. It was just kind of came naturally. And now I understand it to be certain pranayama techniques. And so anyway, when I would commune in this way with God as a child, I remember I started laying the groundwork for the manifestations that I'm now stepping into or about to step into. And really what I felt was I was absorbing on a collective level what was happening here on earth, and I was processing how I felt, what would be the best use of my vehicle this lifetime in order to help the planet, assist the planet. I definitely knew that I was here to attain enlightenment, but I didn't know the wording for it until I was a little older. And then once I knew the wording, then that was a big part of the manifest, my intention setting at the time. I was basically telling God, this is the best way that I think I can be of service. And if this is the way that if you're in agreement, like, let's do this. And I want you to work through me. And so basically attaining enlightenment. And I also knew very strongly from an early age that I had a divine counterpart here, and that I would meet him and we would be together romantically, but also we had this is a joint mission. And so that was the other thing. It's kind of a three-pronged, basically, intention setting that I was doing as a child. So it was the divine partnership, attaining enlightenment, and that I needed a shitload of money in order to do what I needed to do, because I saw the imbalance of power. I saw that there were many power structures on the planet that was the root of what was going on here, that they were causing a lot of the pain and suffering here. I needed a lot of money in order to balance that, because if you're coming from not having money and trying to balance the power structures that are in power because they have a lot of money, it's not really going to work. So I felt like I needed a lot of money in order to be able to balance out those power structures. And then there's more to it, like what would happen after those three parts of the manifestation, but those are the pieces that I'm about to step into. So I'm just going to leave it at those three for now. And ultimately, this is where I gave my life in service to the divine. I remember just saying, please use me as a channel, like, please come through me. And that is what enlightenment is. You become a completely clear channel to let the divine through, or let your full divine, like, it's not that you are no longer you and you don't have your personality and you don't, well, personality can be a persona, so there's a difference, but it's not, but your soul has a personality, right? You have a tendency towards certain ways of being that you bring with you from lifetime to lifetime. So you still have that personality, but you're not coming from a wounded place. And so you can, and that was what I was praying to God for. Like, please help me to come from a place of purity, come from a place of, like, where others can trust me and what I say, and I don't want to be another person who is using their power in a negative way to harm others, or using their power where you're not being truthful, because there's so much dishonesty happening. Please help me to channel you, God, so that I can be the purest light that I possibly can be in the world, and come from a place of pure heartedness and compassion and love for my fellow beings, and not from a place of wounding and ego. And so that was where I really gave my life in service to the divine for the first time. I was probably about 6 or 7 at the time. So let's get a little bit more into what enlightenment is in the Buddhist and Hindu sense of the word. So basically, you are becoming a clear channel for the divine to come through. Some of you. So to me, that is the purest form of energy, right? And basically you become a channel for that, or you become one with that. What it really is you're dropping the personas, you're dropping the masks that you put on to be accepted, or to be loved, or to hide your true intentions, or whatever the reason for the masks. you're taking all that off and you're bearing, literally bearing your true heart and soul to the world. So in order to do that, you really have to heal yourself from any of your traumas that you're carrying, even past life traumas and this life traumas, anything that is causing interference for that divine channel. Because anything like that, traumas or belief systems, ways of being, anywhere that you've placed yourself in a box confines who you really are, or confines the true expression of your divinity, that you are releasing all of that. You have to heal yourself, because you cannot attain enlightenment unless you are fully healed, because it will cause interference to that channel, that energy coming down your spinal system and your chakra system. It will bounce off of and get distorted by any unhealed aspect of yourself. And so you can't attain enlightenment and hold it there until you have really healed yourself. So humans are like vacillating right now between high third and low fourth dimension, from my understanding. We are in the process of ascension. That is why I'm here to attain enlightenment and assist anybody else who wants to attain enlightenment to do that as well. Essentially, when people talk about like the ascension to the fifth dimension, basically what they're talking about is large chunks of the population actually attaining enlightenment. Attaining enlightenment is a spectrum, as anything else in the cosmos is. There is a range of accessible dimensional frequencies that you're accessing when you're enlightened. And it's higher than the communal norm. So like on the planet, I said it, we're kind of vacillating between low third and, or high third and low fourth. We're kind of almost in it where we're not going into third anymore, but we're still kind of vacillating right now. All species ascends in this way. So it's a very slow process as the whole of the species. Humanity right now is about to kind of catapult, slingshot forward in the linear sense into higher dimensional frequencies. And the reason why we have to slingshot instead of have it be a gradual process is because of the powers that be on this planet that don't want us to ascend, basically. And they're doing everything in their power right now to stop us from doing that. They're not going to be able to stop us. We're already too far in. We're kind of catapulting ourselves. So what is, from my understanding, what's needed is a lot of us to attain enlightenment. And really that's, again, catapulting yourself through into higher dimensional frequencies and realms. So instead of being in the third or the fourth dimension, you're reaching fifth, sixth, seventh, however high you can into further dimensional frequencies you can reach. It really, there's a lot of factors that would play into where people will land as they do this process, because it depends on, have you done it before on Earth or other lifetime, or on other planetary systems? How much have you worked on yourself, or how spiritually advanced is your soul? How, there's a lot of different factors that will determine like kind of where in the dimensional frequencies a being will land as they go through this process. Now, I think it's going to happen in waves, from my understanding, because not all of the population is ready for it. So, but as more people go through this process themselves, then it elevates the frequency of the entire planet, because the frequency of the planet is an average of all the beings that are on the planet. And so the more people that attain enlightenment or that catapults into a higher dimensional frequency, the higher they're elevating the planet, and they're able to also be an example for those around them of what is possible. And it opens those doors of perceptions for those people in order to be able to, for them to even have the belief that it's possible, because most people don't fully understand what enlightenment is, or it's scary to them because it's something that's different and it's not normal, so to speak. And so it can be scary for people. So seeing others around them who have done this will assist in these beings, in other beings, being able to even open their mind to the possibility that it's possible. That is the reason why when you hear about enlightened gurus or enlightened masters being able to perform miracles, so manifest things, teleport themselves, heal with their hands, levitate, like, it's because they're not, you're no longer constrained by the laws of the third dimensional realm or the fourth dimensional realm. That when you access those higher dimensional realms, you are no longer constrained by the rules of the third dimensional realm. And it's built into the system for people, obviously, or it wouldn't be happening, to be able to access those higher dimensional realms from this human body. And that's to assist a species in their evolutionary process. And because humanity has been stuck in this cyclical pattern because of the powers that be. I think most of the majority of us now recognize that there are powers that be, but maybe we don't necessarily agree on who they are or what they are. But the point is that there are powers that be on this planet that will, as soon as humanity tries to evolve past the higher third dimension, they will do everything in their power to kind of bat humanity back down. So we've been going through this cyclical pattern, and humanity has not been able to push ourselves past that evolutionary point up until this point, because we've been stuck in that cyclical thing, and because there's so much like suffering and so many ancestral wounds, and we're all carrying like intensely heavy wounding from being in such a low dimension. And that's a whole other podcast topic. But the point is that because we've been stuck in this cyclical holding pattern, that's why a lot of us have incarnated here who are not really humans, meaning we're not signed on for the whole of the human experience, because a soul can choose to start at square one with the human evolution and go all the way till the end of it, so to speak. Or like I do, I come and go from different planetary systems because I enjoy traveling very much and I enjoy seeing new places. And at this point in my soul's evolution, I don't want to be tied to the whole of a species evolution. So that being said, you wouldn't call me necessarily a human in that sense, although I'm in a human body right now, like I'm incarnated into a human body. But the point is that my soul is not signed on for the whole of the human experience. So, meaning, there are a lot of us that have incarnated here now, and in order to help humanity get over that hump, there needed to be beings who came from higher dimensional frequency realms in order to ground that energy and raise the vibration of the planet to assist humans in being able to overcome that hump. Okay, so that's what I'm here doing, and that's what many other beings are here doing. The yogis laid out a very structured, systematic approach to attaining enlightenment. And it's a tried and true method. So many people have been able to attain enlightenment using that method. And so I've used that method in multiple other lifetimes. I will use that method in this lifetime, although I do pull from other lineages that are available on the planet, but my main is the yogic lineage. So let me back up. Let me go back to my relationship with my guides. So I have always been able to see and hear and communicate with my guides very easily. I'm telepathically connected to them. I have one being who is a yogi that is, I'm always seeing him as seated in meditation. He's one of my closest guides, and he will be an integral part of this story moving forward. And I also have some what people call angels, angelic beings on my guide team. I have a lot of extraterrestrial beings, particularly the Arcturians. The Arcturian species are wisdom keepers of the universe. They are a species who has held a certain level of spiritual advancement. They're very spiritually advanced. They hold a certain knowledge, and their knowledge, from what I've been told and what I know, their knowledge is what it was disseminated to the yogis in India, and that became like the yogic path, the yogic understanding. There's a connection there to the Arcturians. The Arcturians, I spend a lot of time on Arcturus, and I have very deep connections there. And so I have a lot of Arcturians on my guide team. There are a lot of other species. I'm connected to spider beings. There's a lot of different species that I'm connected to. There are all, so my grandma passed away and she joined my guide team. I was very close to her in life. She was one of my all-time favorite people. She's on my guide team. She brings her own quirk. I have two yogis, actually. I have another yogi that is also kind of an angelic being. I see him bathed in light always. And I will get more into that. His name is Dr. George, and I will actually, there will be a whole podcast episode on him and on the yogi, because they're very interesting beings. There are certain ways to know that somebody has attained enlightenment. The number one biggest thing is how you feel around them. And I'm not just talking about, oh, they're friendly and they're, it's fun to be around them. No. When you are in the vicinity of someone who has attained enlightenment, it is palpable, the love that is emanating from them, the love and compassion. You will feel it. It will change how you feel inside the instant you're near them. You would know instantly that something is different about this person. That is the number one thing, is how you would feel around them. You would pick up on the fact that they are enlightenment. They would not be constrained by the laws of the third dimensional realm. And so they would potentially do things like disappear in front of you or appear out of thin air in front of you. They would be able to walk on water, or levitate off the ground. They would be able to heal somebody's physical body with their just with their hands. There are enlightened gurus like Sai Baba that manifest necklaces right out of his palm. Different things, but not all yogis would perform miracles. Not all enlightened masters would perform miracles like that. You would also be very cognizant that they can hear your thoughts. They can see right through you, they can read you, and they can understand that, like, what you are thinking and feeling. So my goal with this podcast is to prove that you don't have to abandon everything and everyone and go live in a cave in the Himalayas to attain enlightenment. And it doesn't have to take lifetimes to do it. I want to show that it's attainable to everyone who commits and focuses wholeheartedly on it. and unceasingly. And I hope that other people are encouraged to take this path, because I really think that this is the way forward for humanity as a whole. If you think that the world is a dumpster fire, or you just see all of the doom and gloom surrounding you and it is just overwhelming, this is how you fix it. You can't change external until you change internal. And it's not helpful to try to change external until you've changed internally, because all of us, unless you've healed yourself, and so I say all of us because there's such a small percentage of the population who has actually healed themselves, until you've done that, you're coming from a place of wounding yourself. And so trying to exert change in the world from a place of wounding will create more chaos and wounding in the world. And so in order to actually change the external world in a positive way, you have to change internally. You have to. There's no other way. Right now, we're taught that to change the world, you have to focus externally and do things externally and try to petition the government to do XYZ and try to create organizations that do XYZ. But until every single person within that organization and within those government structures are coming from a place of wholeness, of healing, of being healed, the change that takes place will not be for everyone's highest good. It will continue the cycles that we've been in, because we're coming from that energy to begin with to do the change. And so we might vacillate between this extreme and that extreme over and over and over again, but real, lasting, foundational change will not happen until we come from a place of wholeness and healing within ourselves. And the more people that do that, the more the world will be a better place. Your external reflection is a reflection of your internal world. If you feel anger, you will see anger externally. Or you will have people be angry with you. If you feel angry, that's the energy that you're putting out. That's the frequency that you are outputting. Your external world is going to give you that same frequency back. So if you come from anger or sadness or frustration, you are going to receive that back. You are going to have more frustrating experiences, or you are going to experience yourself being more frustrated with others, or others being more frustrated with yourself. It's a self-perpetuating thing. So if you walk into the world from a place of stress, you're going to have opportunities to be more stressed, or the people that you encounter are going to be stressed, and you will feel their stress. It's a direct reflection. It's that simple. If you extrapolate that to humanity as a whole, as a collective, the external world, so like your external world is a reflection of your internal world. Now take that to the external world as a whole, the whole of humanity. On a global scale, the world is a reflection of the average of what humanity is experiencing as a whole. So what you see in the external world on a global scale, that is a good indication of how people feel inside. They're feeling anger, they're feeling frustration, they're feeling stress, they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling hatred, they're angry, they're, those types of energies. And I'm not saying every single person all the time is feeling that way. I'm saying the median of the internal environments of humans as a whole is feeling that way, because that is what is reflected on the whole of the collective human experience, right? And so your world, your personal experience in the world will change once you heal yourself and come from a place of love and compassion and wholeness within. Your external environment will reflect that, whether that be because your frequency is altering the frequency of the people that you're coming into contact with. So it's probably partially that, or you are just attracting the people who are also on that vibrational frequency to you, and those are the people that you're interacting with. But I'm talking about as a whole, the whole of humanity. The external world is reflecting what the majority of humans are feeling internally. You can deduce that the overwhelming majority of people in the world are walking around with unhealed wounds and anger, resentment, powerlessness, etc. In order for the collective to change, you have to change your internal environment first, meaning heal what needs to be healed, releasing judgments, taking off your masks, healing that anger, resentment, pain, suffering, hatred, etc. Whatever the wounding is, heal your wounds and triggers, and your personal world will reflect that back to you. And then you are also an example to others of what is possible, because we don't have a lot of examples of a healed person right now. People do not know. People emulate other people that they want to be like, right? And when there's very few people or nobody reflecting to others a whole healed experience, there's nothing to emulate. There's nothing to strive for, because you're grasping in the dark, right? It's not easy to get to that place if there's not examples of it around you. And so the more people that do this work on themselves and heal, and it is not a never-ending healing process, that is a lie. There is an end to the healing. But then, so others can follow your example and heal too, and it becomes a ripple effect as more and more people go through their process and come to that wholeness within. And really, ultimately, I would encourage you to go for the ultimate, the deluxe living experience, the deluxe option, the one with all the bells and whistles, because why wouldn't you want that? If you're buying a new vehicle and you can afford it, why wouldn't you get the vehicle with all the extra, bells and whistles on it? That is the equivalent of attaining enlightenment. That is the equivalent in the human experience. The attaining enlightenment is the experience with all the extra bells and whistles and the luxury and the bliss, right? It's the ultimate upgraded living experience. So I highly suggest, for if you're going to go through the healing process, you might as well keep going until you attain enlightenment, because you've already done the work. It's just, why wouldn't you want that extra, special experience? And the powers that be, the ones that think that they own the planet right now and the people on it, are fighting hard to stop us from awakening right now. And they know what's coming. They can feel it, and it terrifies them. You can see that. You can see that happening. Their reign is over, and that's great, but we have to stop giving all of our power to people, to others, to people in power or whoever, hoping that they are going to save us. No one is going to save us. No one can save us because of your option of free will. No one can save you. No one can save us from this human experience. We have to save ourselves. And this is how, nobody in the corrupt power structures that are already in place can save us. Okay? Because they're working, even if they have the best intentions, they are working within a corrupt system, and they cannot affect the change externally, like I was speaking about. The change in the external environment has to happen from within, like I already explained. And so somebody who's in one of the corrupt power structures, who is trying to fix things from within that corrupt power structure, is not going to be able to do much good unless they're already wholly healed. And I can tell you that none of the people that are in the current power structures are. They're just not going to be able to save us, and nor can they. And we have to save ourselves. And this is how we assist with the evolutionary thing, the evolution that is already happening for humanity on this planet. We're at that pivotal moment. We have to all chip in and do our part, our internal part. Okay? And once you internally change, the earth reflects that, and everybody changes, and then there's more and more reflections and more, and then the median of the human internal world becomes peace and harmony and love, and the external world reflects that. And that's where the healing is. That's how we heal. That's how we fix this problem. The many problems, I should say. And also, this is the revolution. This is the ultimate rebellion. No one who is in the current power structures and is trying to keep us back, no one can stop you from freeing yourself. No one can stop you from doing that unless you give your power to them to stop you. But this is the revolution. This is the rebellion. This is how we fix everything. And I hope that others will join me on this journey. And I hope that spur other people to take this path as well. And I cannot wait to see what we create in this world together. So I'm going to leave this first episode here, and thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next week.